Bernie was on Chris Hayes last night talking about the minimum wage.
I think you could win a floor vote on it. If you just said up or down.
Oh,
No, you couldn't.
No, you could not. As of now, there's not one Republican who will support a $15 an hour minimum.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, I just what you're saying, just to be clear here, is that
remember, there was a Republican proposal to raise the minimum wage to $10 an hour.
If you were in a filibuster world and you needed 10 Republican votes, you're saying there's not 10 Republican votes to raise the wage.
Let me be very clear about this. The only way that we are going to raise the minimum wage is through reconciliation or ending the filibuster. In my view, I do not see in the foreseeable future getting significant support from Republicans.
Wasn't in this package like.
Now, it's very possible that we have viewers of this show right now who are in West Virginia. You need to call your Senator Joe Manchin, that gigantic piece of shit, and pressure him to end the filibuster. Democrats are going to need to end the filibuster in order to do several things that they want to do. Did I copy my hand gestures from? I don't think so. Maybe subconsciously. I've always talked with my hands. This is earlier today. I don't even know the committee meeting this one. I'm assuming the Senate Budget Committee. Bernie once again talking about wages and sticking it to the Walton family, one of his favorite whipping boys.
Ranking Member Lindsey Graham and the other members of the committee for being with us in person or on video. I would also like to thank the many witnesses.
We're going to hear from Graham here in just a second.
Today, most of whom who will be joining us remotely because of this pandemic.
I was like Bernie's always throwing a no.
Hearing to order in order to discuss.
We got Lindsey Graham coming up, so I'm not high enough for this shit.
I believe profound question. And that question is this. Why should the taxpayers of our country, many of whom are struggling economically as a result of the pandemic, be subsidizing the starvation wages being paid at some of the largest and most profitable corporations in America? That's the simple question. Why should working people be subsidizing some of the wealthiest families?
It's a very simple question.
Corporations in America because of the starvation wages they pay their workers. And let me be very clear. The largest welfare recipient in America.
It's Lindsey Graham sparring with Bernie, though.
The wealthiest family in America, the Walton family, a family that owns the largest corporation in America, Walmart. This is a family that is worth over $200 billion. It is a family that has become $50 billion wealthier since March of 2020, during the worst public health crisis in over 100 years. This corporation that they own, Walmart,
the top 1% gained $1.3 trillion
in profit last year alone.
Since COVID.
Yet, despite this massive family wealth, despite these very high corporate profits, Walmart pays wages so low that tens of thousands of their employees are forced to rely on public assistance in order to survive. They are forced to rely on food stamps to feed their children, paid for by the U.S. taxpayer. They are forced to go into public housing to put a roof over their heads, paid for by U.S. taxpayers. And they are forced to go on Medicaid to get the health care they need, all of which is paid by U.S. taxpayers. While Costco, Amazon,
raising the minimum wage saves taxpayer money.
Have all raised their minimum wage in recent years to at least $15 an hour. And in a few minutes, we're going to hear from the CEO of Costco.
And they're doing better.
The minimum wage at Walmart has remained stuck at $11 an hour for the last 3 years.
I didn't realize it was that high.
760,000 workers at Walmart. Walmart is the largest employer in America. 760,000 employees.
I'm betting part-time doesn't make that
US
much.
Workforce are paid less than $15 an hour.
So Bernie laying the groundwork. Now Lindsey Graham is going to come back at him. Because you know you got to have Republican opposition to anything that makes sense.
And with that, I am delighted to introduce Senator Graham.
Well, thank you, Bernie, Mr. Chairman. Listen, this committee is going to be a fun place to be, I hope, because we're talking about things that matter. And, you know, the budget can be a very dry topic, but the budget is basically a process of where we take money from people, businesses, corporations, individuals, and we decide what to do with that money. Then we decide what tax rates to set for the country and what deductions to give. We're trying to set policy up here, taking other people's money to make sure the economy
Amazon,
will grow and everybody in America
Raytheon,
can have a shot at the American dream.
ExxonMobil,
The chairman rightly talked about small businesses and the effect his
Boeing
may have on them. I want to spend a little bit more time in that. I worked, my family owned the Sanitary Cafe in Central South Carolina. My mom
Boeing,
ran
which
the
keeps
restaurant,
going bankrupt
bar.
and getting
Dad ran the
taxpayer
liquor store on the other
bailouts.
side of the panel, and downstairs was a 3-table pool room. When I got old enough, I ran that. We hired 1 or 2 people, depending on how business was.
Maintaining
By
the
no
status
means
quo.
rich, but, owning your own business
8.7
has a
trillion.
certain pleasure
God
to it.
damn.
And one thing I remember, Mr. Chairman, is you can't get sick. If you actually own a small business and you don't open up, you don't get paid. I've seen my mom and dad go to work dog sick because if they didn't open up, they didn't get paid. And every time there was a cost of doing business, it had to be absorbed. And there's only so much you can pass on to the customer. Inflation is going to be an increasing problem in this country. So I want the American people to understand that there's a consequence to spending all this money. There's a consequence to flooding the zone with money. And when you start imposing cost into the economy, it will eventually be passed on to you because people are in business to make a profit. Now, Walmart. The theory of the case that the chairman espouses is that the
Like Lindsey Graham is not picking up on the fact that, you know, these companies are costing taxpayer money. So they're profiting off of the fact that the government is subsidizing their workforce. They're not sharing the profits. So raising the minimum wage is a way to force them to give some of that money that they are hoarding back to their workers that deserve it. Now, I don't think raising the minimum wage I think it's a good idea. I think that's not the only route you need to go. I think you need to lower the work week. I think overtime should be paid on the day instead of the week. There are ways we can structure things in order to make labor more scarce. And that drives up the cost. I know. Lindsay knows how economics work. We need regulations on the cost of living. You are correct, but one of the ways you do that is by some services shouldn't be privatized. Electricity should be ran by the government as a not-for-profit. Healthcare should be ran by the government as a not-for-profit. Internet, not-for-profit. Right-wingers are fucking morons. That's my position. I am definitely not a liberal, though. Don't call me that. Holy shit. There shouldn't be companies that's whole business model is to just own shit. I'm not a communist. I'm for a mixed economy. But there has to be regulation. There has to be fucking rules to play by. Capitalism No, you can't just come into my chat and start throwing out articles. What the fuck? If you would like to debate something, you can call in 917-830-4359. Or you can hit up the Discord. You can tell me all about what you want to talk about. Believe me, I don't cut anybody off. We had a guy ramble on about Bigfoot for 30 minutes last night. I'm exaggerating. That was hyperbolic. It was about 15. Bigfoot and how World War I didn't happen. But would you like to give us a call? 917-830-4359. I would love to have a conversation with somebody. I'm going to have a conversation tomorrow night. The Reverend Scott Williamson, the salty pastor, will be here with us. I haven't had a religious debate in a very long time. I'm very much looking forward to it. And he knows my feelings on religion too. I know it'd be more fun if he was coming in kind of blindside. But no. He knows me. He knows what's up. He knows what he's getting himself into. All right, back to Lindsey Graham, since I guess I'm not going to get a phone call.
CEO of Walmart could make $20 million, not 22, and they could absorb an increase in minimum wage and not give stock dividends, not pay their top people so much. And they just choose not to do that. Well, we can have our discussion about that concept, but here's where we should agree, that if you're running the sanitary cafe, you don't have that luxury. Because there's just only so much money coming in the door, and if you have to double the cost of paying a worker, you're probably not going to hire anybody else. And teenagers and senior citizens benefit from jobs in the hospitality industry and the service industry.
Teenagers and senior citizens are ripe for exploitation, is what you're saying, Lindsey.
On the restaurants throughout this country right now.
I'm sorry, Senator Graham.
In South Carolina, it's anticipated that 50% of the restaurants that have been hit by COVID will never come back. The state government and local government...
Well, that's your fault for dragging your ass and not doing something about it to support small business.
They're mandating increased cost of doing business, and restaurants are struggling.
It is, but we have data from like restaurants in Seattle are doing better if they're Lady Gaga. Oh, Lindsey Graham. I was like Lady Gaga. We're gonna talk about her in a little bit. That's a sad story about her dogs. I'm not looking forward to hearing that audio. Yeah, it's a very good point about small business, but we have data to prove that it doesn't affect them, that they do better. Like, businesses are doing better in Seattle because people have more money. So if you have more money in your pocket, there's more demand. More people are going out to restaurants. It's the Henry Ford fucking philosophy that, you know, your consumers need to be able, your workers need to be able to consume the product that you're producing. And that's how you run a successful business. So yes, it's a good point, but also this is a fantastic freeze frame of Graham's face. Bernie will probably go on the thumbnail, but just in case, I'm going to take a screenshot of Graham here. It was too good to pass up.
Stay alive. The PPP loans have been helpful, but they're not going to be around forever. And the bottom line, Mr. Chairman, is if we impose a new mandate on the expense side, combined with mandates to reduce revenue, we're going to crush these people. You have been championing this idea.
And I mean, do you really think that Lindsey Graham
during the COVID crisis, the last thing
gives a shit about small businesses?
Doubling the cost of doing businesses for small businesses.
Do you agree of having kids to read children-themed LGBT gay books? I don't know what an LGBT gay book is. That sounds stupid. Do I think that it's okay for children to read stories that have LGBT representation? Absolutely. You've got to love stupid ass right wingers coming in asking loaded questions. I'll shut that shit down. Would you like to give us a call? 917-830-4359. Or you can hop in the Discord. The link is in the comments. Or in the description. Whatever the fuck. He made a video about Cartoon Network again. Who did? Ben Shapiro? What are they attacking Cartoon Network for? What did they do this time? Libtards. Goddamn, right-wingers are fucking morons. Come in here and call me libtard. Grims, give us a call. 917-830-4359. Hop in the Discord. I will totally let you talk. Anyone in the comments will tell you I let people go all day long. I will not cut you off. I will be the most fun libtard you ever talk to on the air, I promise. Would you like to give us a call? Hop in the Discord. Are you just going to make a fool of yourself in the comments? Because if so, we're going to move on to John Thune talking about the minimum wage. Because it's amazing how much the Republicans fight against minimum wage increases. Here is the video, Thune telling his personal story.
The bill and many of its provisions, which has been pointed out, I think many times by many of my colleagues, would have a very, I think, detrimental and harmful impact at the time when we're trying to get people back to work and get our economy going again. Spending $1.9 trillion, much of which in certain areas, if you talk about the education funding, doesn't spend until after 2021. It's hard to characterize something as an emergency when the majority of the money is going to be spent in the out years between 2022 and 2028. Or if you
now
look
he's talking about schooling there, so I would assume it's some sort of
$350 billion going to state and local governments. And if you look at 21 states across the country had
making up for lost revenue with schools or something. I don't exactly know what he's talking about there.
A lot of the money that's already been put out there hasn't even been spent already. And so if you look at the amount of money that's being spent in the totality of this bill, $1.9 trillion, less than 10% of it actually goes toward public health spending. And in fact, really truly addressing the crisis, which is the virus. A lot of it's going into these.
I think the crisis is people are suffering, and we've got an eviction crisis,
at a time,
a mortgage crisis.
Trying to get people back to work and trying to create jobs again, because it drives up the cost of hiring people. And I can tell you, as somebody like Senator Scott, who was growing up in a small town, I worked for less than the minimum wage. I worked for the minimum wage. I started bussing tables at $1 an hour. I went up to $2.25 when they moved me up in the place, and then I finally made it to cook, which was big time.
Student debt crisis.
But everybody in my town, I grew up in a little town on Interstate 90. As people,
now notice what he said. He made $6 an hour. He's telling you about when he made $6 an hour. So you should suck it up.
Heading west to Mount Rushmore and Yellowstone and points beyond.
Yes, 40 years ago.
In one way or another involved in the travel industry. So two of my brothers worked at filling stations. My sister waited tables. My other brother worked at...
I had a right-winger do the same thing to me the other day.
And as I said, I cooked at the Star Family Restaurant.
I made this amount of money in 1990.
Work with very narrow margins. And if you take...
You should be able to do this. Now, I did the math and showed him what the money he made in 1990 is worth in today's dollars.
Where I think it should be done. Our state has a 945...
Now, you guys know exactly what's getting ready to happen right now, right? We're going to do the math. It's already been done for us. In a tweet voicing his opposition to raising the national minimum wage to $15 an hour, South Dakota Senator John Thune said he made $6 an hour working in a restaurant as a kid. Adjusted for modern inflation, using June 1978 as a baseline, that would be $24 an hour today. That's what the conservative I had the argument with the other day was telling me about what he made in 1990. What he made at minimum wage in 1990 while he was going to college was more than a company was willing to pay me with 15 years experience and 2 degrees.